Hey Playas, how you doing? Welcome back to Playas Guide. This episode of Playas Guide, I've got more homebrew games for you in a series of shows that I'm going to be starting called the Retro Indie Show. So some of you are maybe already familiar with the Retro Indie Show. It's a show I host on the Playas Guide Twitch channel every Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So almost every night we've got some different content on the Twitch channel. So please consider following that channel if you're not already, and you're on Twitch. But anyways, the idea here is that I'm going to start covering different retro indie games. So they are games that are homebrews, so new games for old consoles, or new games that look like they're old games on modern consoles. And that's a series I'm going to try to put out maybe one episode a month. And then there's going to be the collector's guide and the retro gaming news. And I'll see what other stuff I could come up with too for the channel. Just to give you a bit of an update. But without further ado, I'm going to talk about 6 more awesome homebrew games that you should check out. So, first up, I'm going to talk about Cowlitz Gamers 2. So I haven't played Cowlitz Gamers 1, but Cowlitz Gamers 2 is one that I would definitely recommend. This is a single screen platforming game where you work your way through each screen, dodging enemies, sometimes collecting items in order to climb your way through the stage, which looks like usually like a cave or an Aztec mine or tomb or something along those lines, where you're an explorer searching for treasure, and you climb through these stages in order to get to the next screen. And this game is really well done, very colorful, and controls great. You should definitely check this one out. Next up is a game that we did play on the Retro Indie Show and have talked lots about. In fact, I think most of these games have made their way over there. This game's called Anguna. Anguna may sound familiar to you, but you haven't played it on the NES before, unless you bought it through the Kickstarter. This game was originally on the Game Boy Advanced, I believe, and now there's a port of it, or a version of it, for the NES, and it's great. It's very enjoyable. It is a Zelda Crystallis-like game for the NES. It's one of those NES action RPGs, and you go around leveling up and working your way through different dungeons / cave areas. There's also a few secrets and secret bosses throughout the game that you can find and fight. Boss fights for each stage, building up to a big final battle. This game was very enjoyable. I think I played through it in about 3 hours, so it's not super long or difficult, but you will find a lot of pleasure in this game. Ronyu's Tale is another one that was just on Kickstarter not too long ago, and I really enjoyed this one. This is a puzzle game. It's like an action puzzle game, so if you liked Kickle Cubicle or Lolo, games along those lines. This was by Mega Cat Studios. They also have a game called Little Medusa. This game is awesome. It's so much fun, and each stage you learn a different ability, working your way through different stages. One of the abilities was to phase through walls. Another ability is to shoot fireballs. But you have limited uses of this ability, so you have to strategically decide in each stage when and where to use those abilities to best navigate yourself through that stage and get to the end of it. Another interesting game, if you like puzzle type games and collecting games, is Eskimo Bob. So in this game you play as 2 different Eskimos, but not simultaneously. You have to go into an igloo to switch between them, which is kind of a neat thing. And it's not really a single screen game. There are different screens to each level because you have to access that igloo to change characters, but there is scrolling in the game, and sometimes that plays into the puzzle. So you have to collect all the fish as the Eskimo, But one Eskimo, the green one, has a stick for poking things, and the other blue Eskimo is a little bit quicker and able to jump a little bit higher than the other green Eskimo, allowing you to reach different areas of each stage. So you have to navigate and traverse your way through each stage by figuring out when and how to use the Eskimos in order to collect all of the fish so that you can advance to the next stage. Nebs and Debs. This was one that I played on Action 53. I think it was Volume 3, and I really enjoyed the demo that was on it. Now I started playing the full game, and it's a little bit more difficult. And part of the reason I think that is because there is a learning curve to some of the stages where different abilities, or not so much abilities, but different parts of the stage that you interact with differently allow you to do different things. And sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to figure out given you have a time limit. But otherwise, the game is very enjoyable and plays very fast. Once you figure out how to navigate through these stages, and let's say you're into speedrunning or fast games, you're really going to like this one. It's very unique and different from pretty much any other game that I can really think of that I've played. The air dash is familiar within some more modern games, but it's really cool to see that in a retro game on the NES and how it's been applied to this game. And it's very gratifying to be able to burst through just a ton of bricks or rubble in some of the stages here in order to attack enemies and access hidden secrets. Well, if you've been following the channel for a while, then you know that I talk about Twitch a lot. And if you're not, you heard me talk about it at the beginning of this one. Well, we did a homebrew month back in June of 2021, and we played different homebrew games across all different consoles all month long. At the end of homebrew month, the show, Do You Even 80s Bro, the two bros from that show, Chris and Ken, finished off the finale episode with their very own homebrew game, the Do You Even 80s Bro game. Now, I have heard that they are working on a couple other stages, but right now it's just one stage, and it is available if you're on the Playas Guide Discord in the Do You Even 80s Bro channel. So please, if you're a retro gamer or a video game collector, consider joining the Playas Guide Discord linked below and checking out this homebrew game that they made. And I think they made it in like 2 or 3 weeks or something. Like, they worked on it every night so that they could have it ready for the end of the month for the finale episode. And it was a complete surprise to everybody. It's a shooter game. It's a little bit tricky, but if you're familiar with their show on the channel, then you're going to love this game. Anyways, Playas, thanks so much for tuning into another episode of Playas Guide. I hope you enjoyed or will enjoy some of the homebrews that I've mentioned here. If you're not already following Playas Guide on Instagram, Twitch, and Twitter, please consider doing so. Until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.